can we just start with that? What is functional medicine? Because it's not the same as like traditional medicine.
No, traditional medicine is really about sick care. It's diagnosing and treating disease as opposed to the science of creating health. And that's what functional medicine is. It sort of reframes our whole perspective to get to root causes rather than just downstream symptoms. So medicine is sort of divided into specialties and different organs and different parts, but your body's one whole ecosystem. And now we begin to understand that and how things like environmental factors, toxins, our diet, stress, allergens, and so forth interrupt our biology or lack of certain things we need, like the right food, nutrients, the balance of hormones, light, air, water, sleep, connection, movement. All these things are ingredients for health. So functional medicine is about identifying the root causes, which are the lack of things you need to thrive and too much of the stuff that your body doesn't like, whether it's heavy metals or whatever it is, and taking those away. And then your body has this natural intelligence and healing system that allows your body to repair, heal, and renew. And when you create health, disease goes away as a side effect. So functional medicine is really about this new paradigm of dealing with the body as an ecosystem rather than going to a different doctor for every inch of your body.
It should just be medicine.
Yeah, it just makes sense.
But it's not.
It's not. It will be. It will be. It's coming. It's like, it's where the science is. It's where we're headed. It takes a generation or two to change science.
I was doing some of these things like a year ago. I was getting my life in order physically and in every way. And the woman who was advising me was like, we should get you a test for the heavy metals in your body.
Yeah.
And my doctor was like, no. He refused. Like it was actually something he would have had to order, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And like he was not open-minded to it at all. Some of the other stuff he was like, okay, because I had mold in my apartment or my house at the beach. And he's like, I guess, you can get tested for mold. But then he's like, do you really think it's an issue? He was like, if mold were killing people, everybody who lived in the jungle would be dead a lot sooner than people who live in the desert. And they're not. No. So I've been like pulled between these two, because functional medicine makes so much sense to me. And yet my like very like no nonsense traditional doctors like, no.
Yeah, no, I mean, the two things that make us sick are our diet and environmental toxins. And those things are ignored by traditional medicine. My daughter just graduated medical school. I mean, she'll learn nothing about these things. And yet every day in my practice, I see people with chronic illness, whether it's autoimmune diseases or whether it's metabolic diseases or whether it's digestive diseases or neurodegenerative things like Alzheimer's. And they're all things that we now begin to understand the root causes. And we can actually change those and reverse those chronic illnesses. Like, nobody ever heard of reversing diabetes before. Nobody ever heard of reversing Alzheimer's or reversing autoimmune diseases. And you can. And that's the beauty of what this approach does. It's really where medicine's headed. It's where major sort of academic institutions are researching. But it takes a couple of decades for science to become practice.
With RFKJ, who I know is a personal friend, Callie and Casey Means, Callie in particular, like a big advisor to him. That's great. He's totally on board with all this.
Totally.
And then you mentioned Dr. Bredesen. He's the Alzheimer's doctor. I mean, he's an expert in Alzheimer's and dementia. He's been on the show a couple times. And he's been saying, you don't have to get Alzheimer's. You can do things in your life to prevent Alzheimer's. But the so-called traditional community looks at him as like, oh, I won't say snake oily, but like, exactly, fringe. And like, you can't listen to him. I first got introduced to him by Maria Shriver, who was having him on when she was on the Today Show. She's very into Alzheimer's.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Well, she's not into, she's into stopping it.
Right. She loves Alzheimer's. But that's what's happening right now. In the same way we saw, doctors who were like, you might not want to get your 7th COVID vaccine booster, who got dismissed by people like Fauci as fringe, Jay Bhattacharya as focused protection, that's fringe. Now we're having functional medicine doctors looked as fringe, but I think there's a different F word, and it's future.
That's right. It's future. That's changing. I mean, Toby Cosgrove, who's one of the most visionary leaders in healthcare, was the CEO of Cleveland Clinic for many years. And he invited me to come to Cleveland Clinic to establish the Center for Functional Medicine because he realized that the future is going to have to look different when it comes to chronic disease, that the old model of looking for a drug for every disease or a pill for every ill is not going to solve the problem. We saw this massive failure with Alzheimer's. We saw billions of dollars of money, federal money and private money and pharma money going to researching the drugs that they thought would cure Alzheimer's. And none of them have worked. Billions of dollars, hundreds and hundreds of studies. Why? Because they weren't looking in the right place to solve the problem. They were looking at the pathology downstream, not at the upstream causes. And so the causes are not that hard to understand. It's our metabolic crisis, pre-diabetes. They're calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes, which is because of the sugar and metabolic issues in the brain. That's why keto diets work so well for Alzheimer's. They're looking at environmental toxins and how they play a role, whether it's heavy metals or petrochemicals or other toxins. Mold may be a factor. Tick infections may be a factor. Nutrition deficiencies might be a factor. I had a patient who was diagnosed with early dementia, and she was an older woman who had absorption issues of B12 and also some genetics around vitamin B6 and folic acid. I gave her like vitamin B12 shots and high doses of B12 and B6 and folate, and her dementia went away.
Whoa.
Now, that's not saying all diseases with people with dementia have that as their cause, but you have to personalize medicine. And where everything is going is personalized medicine. And this is just where we're headed. Leroy Hood, who's the father of systems biology, which is how everything is connected and works together as the body's a network, he called it P4 medicine. It's preventive. It's predictive. So you can identify biomarkers or things along the continuum of disease, not wait till you get something. Say, well, I have this problem and I don't feel good, or my tests are abnormal. Well, you don't really quite have a disease yet, so come back when you really have a disease. Then I'll give you a drug. It's not how we should be doing it. So it should be predictive. I see this,
I call it like the Queen's medicine. How did the Queen live to be, her mid-90s? How did the Queen mom live to be 101 or 2?
Yeah.
Like that, because they had personal care.
That's right.
That was looking at them all the time.
That's right.
On this level, not
right.
just like an annual. But
No.
and honestly, having known some super rich, like mega billionaires in my media career, they all have somebody who's looking at this stuff all the time. I saw this one guy, super billionaire, at this event I went to 2 years ago. And this is a swanky event. We were there for a few days, put on by, another billionaire, but notwithstanding, billionaire number one had brought all of his food with him.
Yeah.
He was at that level where he was being advised at that level on his health. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because all these people who have money or royalty or whatever, they're invested in making sure it's one-on-one care. Someone's looking at their markers, advising them on what they're putting in their body. It's not just like, try to eat better. Get a little exercise. Don't smoke or drink so much.
That's right. It's much more great.
Much more creative than that. So but you're like with functional medicine and with your program too, you can get this without being a billionaire, without being royalty.
That's right.
It's basically $500 a year.
That's right. So function health is, look, I'm one doctor, and it's going to take a generation to change medicine, or two maybe. So how do we leapfrog over that? We need to have business innovation. And that's where we created Function Health, which is a health platform that's personalized, allows you to understand your own biology, be proactive, be the CEO of your own health. And we're learning so much about what's going on underneath the hood for the population that never had been done before. We now have over, 180,000 members. We have over 20 million data points on these people. We can see trends like the severe metabolic crisis we're having in America with high levels of insulin and blood sugar and A1C, and also their lipids, which we do in a very deep way to look at their cardiovascular risk that traditional doctors don't do. Less than 1% of all tests are for this special new advanced lipid profile, and less than 1% of all doctors measure insulin, which is the most important test you want to know if you're going to live a long time and be healthy. Right. It's the underlying
That's the pre-diabetes thing.
Yeah, pre-diabetes, but it's not just pre-diabetes. It causes heart attacks, strokes, cancer, dementia. These are all diseases of insulin resistance, where your body doesn't like sugar and it keeps blocking the effects of insulin. You need more and more insulin, and then insulin causes storage of belly fat. It causes inflammation. It makes you hungry. It just creates this whole cascade. And so we're seeing all these amazing things that people didn't know they had, like inflammation is a big driver of disease. 46% of our population has inflammation. 33% have an autoimmune biomarker, which is sort of amazing to uncover, because I don't know what it's causing it. Is it our load of environmental toxins? Is it our leaky gut? Is it the COVID post-COVID phenomena? Well, the vaccine and even just COVID has led to this long COVID phenomena, which is often driving autoimmune disease. And we're also seeing nutritional deficiencies. About 70% of our population has deficiencies in nutrients at the minimum level to prevent a deficiency disease. So how much vitamin C do you not? You get scurvy, very little.
No, that happened to my husband's good friend on Wall Street when he first started in investment banking. He was eating so poorly. Yeah. He went to the doctor. This is a guy working in Manhattan. Yeah. Went to the doctor, like, you have scurvy.
Oh,
have you been on a ship for 6 months? He's like, no, I've just been at my desk. But, I've heard you discuss this on your show, where we have what percentage of the population now that's obese?
Yeah, it's scary.
And yet you're saying they're malnourished.
Yeah, people are overfed and undernourished. So we see this double burden of obesity and malnutrition at the same time, especially in kids who are eating junk food. They have tremendous. We're seeing zinc deficiencies, folate deficiencies, iron deficiencies in vitamin D. These are omega-3 deficiencies. These are rampant in our population. And what people don't realize is that these nutrients are the basic lubricants that oil the wheels of your metabolic machinery. So every chemical reaction in your body, and there's 37 billion trillion every second, has to be facilitated by a helper, which is usually a vitamin or mineral. And we're deficient. And it's because we're eating 60% of our diet is ultra-processed food. It's 67% of kids' diet. For every 10% of your diet that's ultra-processed food, your risk of death goes up by 14%. So you do the math. I'm not good at math, but it's a lot. It's a lot of more increase in mortality.
Tariff wars, stubborn inflation. No wonder gold has been routinely hitting all-time highs. And volatile markets like the one we have now, don't sit on the sidelines with your head in the sand. You can take control and safeguard your savings. Aren't you thinking about that today? That's why so many Americans today are turning to Birch Gold Group. They've helped tens of thousands convert an existing IRA or 401k into one in physical gold. Is it time for you to hedge against economic instability or market instability with gold? To learn how to own physical gold in a tax-sheltered account, text MK to the number 989898. Birch Gold will send you a free, no-obligation info kit. Again, just text MK to the number 989898. With an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews, Birch Gold has helped many protect their savings with gold. It took us decades to get into the tangled mess we're trying to unpack right now. How long will it take to get out of it? And at what cost? Text MK to 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.